War Security Limited for Senate intervention. 4. Chief Johnson F. Ntegu and 2 others on behalf of Akwa Ibom Cooperative Fisheries Association. Responded, ExxonMobil, Nigerian Limited. Non-payment of compensation to Akwa Ibom Cooperative Fisheries Association Limited in respect of oil spillages occasioned by facilities of ExxonMobil from 1998 to 2012. And finally, Mr. President, CDW Nwachukwu, on behalf of Bambo Consulting Engineers Limited, Bambo Nigeria Limited, and Divenge Gateway Limited. Respondent, Federal Road Maintenance Agency. Petition for payment of debt owed, contracted in the sum of about 30 billion. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitions is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the above petition before the Senate for official referral to the Committee for further legislative actions. I so move, Mr. President.
Is any of the petitioners seeking any judicial remedy? You may lay the petitions, please. The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the mandatory inclusion of agricultural sciences in secondary school curriculum in Nigeria. Bill 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, mandatory inclusion of agricultural sciences in secondary school curriculum in Nigeria Bill 2022, SB 244, first reading.
Mandatory inclusion of agricultural science in secondary school curriculum in Nigeria Bill 2022, HB 244, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Leobada Kuma Deji Eremeyo on the National Agricultural Extension Services Center, Otugwe 1 of the Aviation State Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Agricultural Extension Services Center, Otuge 1, Ogbia, Bayelsa State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 895, first reading.
National Agricultural Extension Services Center, Otogwe 1, Ogbia, Bayelsa State Establishment Bill 2022, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Smart Adeni on the Federal University of Medicine and Medical Sciences Egbe Kogi State Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, we wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Medicine and Medical Sciences Egbe, Kogi State Establishment Bill 2022, SB 896, first reading.
Federal University of Medicine and Medical Sciences, EGBE, Kogi State, Establishment Bill 2022, SB 896, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of our bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Oche Ekwunife on the National Innovation Agency Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Innovation Agency Bill 2022, SB 898, first reading.
National Innovation Agency Establishment Bill 2022, SB 898, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ovi Augustine Omo Agege, the Deputy President of the Senate, on the National Social Security Commission Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Social Security Commission Establishment Bill 2022, SB 899, first reading.
National Social Security Commission Establishment Bill 2022, SB 899, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the rescission clause 84 of the Electoral Act number 6, 2010, Amendment Bill 2022, and committal to the Committee of the Whole. Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move the motion.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate records that on Wednesday, 19th January 2022, Section 84 of the Electoral Act number 6, 2010 Amendment Bill was reconsidered in the Committee of the Whole following the withholding of assent by the President Commander-in-Chief with observation. Senate observes that some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action by both chambers of the National Assembly emerged on the clause. These necessitated a joint leadership meeting in order to give Nigerians an enduring electoral act that can stand the test of time. And Senate, relying on Order 1B and Order 52.6 of Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended, accordingly resolves to rescind its decision on the affected clause of the bill as passed and recommit the same to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration and passage. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that this distinguished chamber resolve in the Committee of the Whole to reconsider this recommittal. I so move.
Leader of the Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this Senate do now resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider this report and recommittal.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, This amendment is for a single clause, clause 84, nomination of candidates by political parties. And this is a harmonized report. The House has the same report. So those in favor that clause 84 stands part of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion that this distinguished chamber refers to plenary to enable the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this chamber now revert to plenary to report progress as a second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the committee of the whole considered the Senate in the committee of the whole considered the Electoral Act number 6, 2010, repeal and reenactment bill 2022, and approved as follows. Clause 84 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this amendment be read the third time. I so move.
Clerk. Distinguished colleagues, by passing the amendment, we did amendment to clause 84, the mode of conducting primaries by parties to produce candidates. We have concluded on our task on the amendment to the Electoral Act number 6, 2010 bill. So we recall that the Senate and the House passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill with slight difference. While the House passed the mode of primaries to be direct and indirect only, the Senate passed the mode of primaries to be direct, indirect, and consensus. What we have done is to give very clear, sufficient, is to give very clear and sufficient definition to each mode of primaries. The direct primaries is well defined and how it will be conducted. ditto the indirect primaries, and for the consensus, the two chambers have produced in this bill now very clear definition of how a consensus candidate would emerge. And therefore, we are very glad that we have been able to achieve this consensus between the two chambers to arrive at this harmonized version. And we are also very optimistic that Mr. President will sign the bill. Our desire is to ensure that we reform the electoral processes in Nigeria for better transparency, for better accountability, for better integrity, to the satisfaction of Nigerians and the international community. Political parties, when this is signed into law, would have the responsibility of ensuring that they follow the law. Otherwise, they will end up missing the opportunity to participate in elections. So let me thank all of us here for ensuring that we are able to work and pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And this is very significant for us in the 9th Senate and indeed the 9th National Assembly, because this is a fundamental bill, as important as the PIA now, as it gives Nigerians the opportunity to have everybody's vote count. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Tertiary Education and Tech Fund on the Federal University of Wakari Establishment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 26 November 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ahmed Babakaita, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report. In the absence of Ahmed Babakaita, the Deputy Chairman of this committee, Professor Sandy Ono, will move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Professor Sandy Ono.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Sandy Ono, representing Cross River Central. I rise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the reports of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Tech Fund on two bills, namely, one, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University Wukari, Taraba State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management, administration, and other matters connected therewith, 2021 SB 24, and a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Colleges of Education Act 1998 and to reenact Federal Colleges of Education Act, and for other matters connected therewith, Bill 2022 SB 531. I so move, Mr. President.
I think you moved the two.
Very well, Mr. President.
Sorry?
I have been so brief, Mr. President, yes.
Leader, there are two reports there. So why are you saying they should step one down?
Mr. President, it's at the request of the committee. there are some mix-up in the committee level. So the chairman of the committee came up to me today. He said, please, let's rescind that one so that they can put their house together.
So which one are we taking now, the first or the second?
Can I?
Okay, so the Swedish chairman, so we are receiving the report, the first report only.
Let me apologize to the leader, Mr. President. The clerk just came and said we are ready for both. Very well, leader.
Okay, so you are on course.
Thank you, Mr.
But
President.
I need somebody to second the motion.
Yes,
I need someone to second this motion, please.
please, Kola, yes.
Senator Tolu Odebi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by my good friend, to present the report of the Plenary Education Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund on the Federal University will carry a sanction bill, and also the Federal receive and consider the report of the Committee on the Federal College of Education Act 1998 repeal and enactment, say aye. Those against, say nay. Chairman, you may lead reports, please. Chairman, you may present the report, the first one.
Thank you, Mr. President. Federal University will carry. From the views expressed by the stakeholders at the public hearing and subsequent analysis of both oral and written presentations of memoranda, the committee hereby makes the following observations and findings. 1. The stakeholders who made both oral and written submissions at the public hearing unanimously subscribed to the content of the draft bill and rendered their overwhelming solidarity in support of the passage of the bill by the National Assembly. 2. The Federal University Wukari is one of the 6 universities approved and established across the 6 geopolitical zones and has since commenced academic activities. 3. Nevertheless, it has been observed that at the point of assent to the bill by the then President and CNC, an important observation was reached which borders on visitor in the interpretation clause, and that has also been changed to reflect the precedent. Furthermore, all that is required at the moment is the legal backing to aid the smooth running of the university, as all the operational structures are already in place, had no financial implications whatsoever. 4, the bill further seeks to achieve the establishment of a world-class human resource center of excellence that can provide technical and managerial expertise to nurture unique innovations, entrepreneurship, and wealth management in its core areas of interest with credence as Federal University Wukari in Taraba State to meet the learning and research needs of prospective students of the host communities, in particular Nigeria and the world at large. The knowledge and skills that will be acquired by the graduates from the envisaged Act of the National Assembly would definitely go a long way in expanding and deepening the horizon of the students in all related fields, thereby contributing to the nation's GDP and increased revenue base of Nigeria, and consequently contributing to national integration and social progress of the multicultural young people of this country. Hence the need for the Senate to consider and approve this legislative proposal for the benefit of humanity in general and Nigeria as a nation state in particular. Recommendations. The Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund, to which this bill was referred, having carefully considered same, hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for the establishment of the Federal University Wukari, Taraba State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management, administration, and for other matters connected therewith, 2022 SB 24. I so move, Mr. President.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate Committee of the Vote.
Mr. President, I rise through a motion that the Senate resolve in the Committee of the Whole to consider this report.
Chairman, you can present the second one so that we take both at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Repeal and reenactment of Federal Colleges of Education. Findings. From the views expressed by the stakeholders at the public hearing and subsequent analysis of both oral and written presentation of memoranda, the committee hereby makes the following findings. Number one, the repeal of the Federal Colleges of Education Act 1998 and reenactment of the Federal Colleges of Education Bill 2022 will certainly go a long way in supporting teacher education, training and instructions in Nigeria, and would serve as an enabler for running higher academic programs such as first degree in education, making it affordable, accessible to the benefit of the Nigerian people, thereby increasing the educational opportunities amongst diverse demographics in the country, while closing the gap in knowledge of teacher education in general. Two, the repeal of the Federal College of Education Act 1998 and reenactment of same will no doubt provide the required manpower needs of Nigerians in the areas of specialized educational services, training of teachers, and teaching in every aspect of education and fields of applied learning relevant to the developmental needs of educational sector in Nigeria. Four, corollary to this proposition is the fact which propelled the support received from the 64 chapters of affiliated bodies and 65 colleges of education, senior staff association. The stakeholders were of the belief that colleges of education in Nigeria offer degree programs in affiliation with numerous universities in Nigeria, while utilizing the same infrastructure and capacity of the colleges, and therefore urge the hallowed chambers for its magnanimity to offer special privileges to the colleges of education in Nigeria to handle degree programs to be supervised by the National Universities Commission. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the repeal of the Federal College of Education Act 1998 and reenactment of same can be described as putting a round peg in a round hole. Recommendations. The Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund, having carefully considered the bill, hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for an act to repeal the Federal College of Education Act 1998 and to reenact the Federal Colleges of Education and for other matters connected therewith, Bill 22 SB 531. Conclusion. In conclusion, I wish to use this opportunity to thank the President of the Senate and distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity and to humbly request the Senate to pass these bills. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Leader of the Senate, any contributions? Leader of the Senate Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I rise to a motion that this Senate resolves in the Committee of the Whole to consider the two reports. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the Senate resolve into a committee of whole for a class-by-class consideration of the two bills. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to consider the two reports clause by clause say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we start with the report on the establishment of the Federal University of Wukari, and this bill has 33 clauses. Those in favor that clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, and clause 5, functions of the Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6. Clause 6 is on page 5. Composition, tenure, and powers of the Council of the University. Clause 7, Clause 8, Clause 9, and Clause 10. Those who are at those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Clause 11 is on page 10. Functions of the Vice Chancellor. Clause 12, Clause 13, Clause 14, and clause 15. Those who feel that clause 11 to 15 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 16 is on page 12. Power to decide the meaning of statute. Clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, clause 20. Those who vote that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 21 is on page 17. Clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, and clause 25. Those who vote that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 26 is on page 19, quorum. Clause 27, appointment of committees. Clause 28, clause 29, and clause 30. Those who feel that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Clause 31. Those who feel that clause 31 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Those who feel that the interpretation stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Those who feel that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Those who feel that the explanatory, the schedules 1, 2, and 3 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Those who feel that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Those who read the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. The second report. The second report is on Federal Colleges of Education Act 1998 Repeal and Reenactment Bill. Those in favor that clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, or retain, clause 4, and clause 5, membership of governing council. Those who are that these clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 6, on page 6, tenure of office of council member, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 11, power of the minister over councils. Clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 16 is functions of registrar and tenure on page 19. Clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 21 on page 23, tenure of service of other principal officers. Clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, and clause 25. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 26 on page 25, gifts and donations. Clause 27, clause 28, clause 29, clause 30. Those who are that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are that clause 31 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Interpretation on page 30 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are that repeal clause 32 on page 31 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are that the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are that the schedules stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are that the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are that the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to second the motion that the chair report progress on plenary.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse the plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund and the Federal University Wukari Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 31 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedules 1, 2, and 3 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole also considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal Colleges of Education Act 1998, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 1 to 30 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, repeal as recommended, short title as recommended, schedules 1 and 2 as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Federal University of Bukhari Establishment Bill 2022 be read the third time. Also be read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the two bills be read a third time. I shall second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the Federal University Ukari to make comprehensive provision for due management and administration and for other related matters 2022, SB 24, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Colleges of Education Act.
Clerk, I didn't put that question on the second one. I only put the question on Federal University of Bukhari. So I will do it before I put the question for the second one again. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Bukhari to make comprehensive provisions for due management and administration and for other related matters 2022 third reading taken and the bill is passed. Leader, I put the question on the first one. So can you read the second one, please?
Mr. President, I rise to move that this distinguished Senate read the Federal College of Education Act 1998, repeal and re-enactment bill 2032 be now read the third time. I so
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that's moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Colleges of Education Act 1986 and to reenact the Federal Colleges of Education and for other matters connected therewith 2022, SB 531, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Federal Colleges of Education Act 1986 and to reenact the Federal Colleges of Education and for other matters connected therewith 2022 third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. Congratulations, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Aviation on the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria Act Cap F5 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Repeal and Re-enactment Bill 2022. Mr. President, distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid in this chamber on Wednesday, 8 December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi for US.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise, Mr. President, to move the motion that the Senate to consider the bill for an act to repeal the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria Fund Act Cap 15 F5 Law of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Mr. President, to reenact the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria to provide for effective management of airports and other matters related. This bill, Mr. President, is a bill that is seeking to empower the aviation industry, particularly Federal Airport Authority, to meet the challenges of management of airports in Nigeria. This bill, Mr. President, is seeking more powers to be able to monitor the establishment of airdromes and airstrips in this country. There is a trend now, Mr. President, where people are setting up airstrips without approval or fund, and there are loopholes in the process of prosecuting such people. So this bill is seeking the powers to make sure that whoever, either individual or corporate organization that intend to set up airstrip or airdrop, seek the approval of the Federal Airport Authority on one hand, and equally, Mr. President, this will seek to ensure there is cordial relationship between the various agencies that constitute the industry of aviation. Talking about the functions of related agencies like Nigerian Meteorological Agency, Nigerian Civil Aviation, their functions are interwoven and interlocking with each other, that there is a need to have a coordination between the Federal Airport Authority and these sisters agencies whose functions are very required for the safety of the industry, talking about the safety of passengers and the aircraft. So this bill, Mr. President, is all encompassing to ensure the smooth operations of the airport. Equally in this bill, Mr. President, there is a provision to ensure that the security agencies of the aviation industry, that is both the FAN, the airports, and related agencies, to be able to get people to comply with regulations as the way and manner passengers and non-passengers conduct themselves within Nigerian airports. There are cases of people who come into the airport without recourse to the guidelines of modes of operations of the airport. So there are positive measures already in this bill, and to make sure that people comply, and to make our industry, the aviation industry, one of the best. Of course, so far the Nigerian aviation industry has been rated as one of the best in Africa. For this to continue, we need to ensure that we update all the rules and regulations governing the running of the airport and related matters therein. Mr. President, I so submit.
Any comments? Leader of the Senate, Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this Senate resolves in the Committee of the Whole